There's a reason this track is so addictive, and it's not because of complicated drums or a crazy trick in the arrangement. And it's definitely not because PROSPA and CLOONEE are throwing random layers at the wall hoping something sticks. Free Your Mind works because the idea is crystal clear. One vocal phrase, one driving groove, one hypnotic musical identity. And everything else in the track is there to support that center. That is what separates amateur loops from real club records. Most producers keep adding sounds because their idea isn't strong enough. PROSPA and CLOONEE do the opposite. They take a simple idea, lock the groove around it, create tension around it, and then stretch it into a full arrangement. So in this breakdown, I'm going to show you exactly how this record is built and how you can use the same thinking in your own tracks. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're now inside of Ableton, and I'm just going to play the main hook idea. So and the original sounds like this. So as you can hear, I've got it very similar. So we'll start with the vocal. This is actually a vocal from this track, Oh How I Love You by Sybil. If I play this part of the track. So there's a part there which is the main hook, or is played during the main hook of the track. If I solo this out.
To share the joys of ecstasy, let's reach the point of my love is what you're buying.
So this is actually repeated. They've chopped it up and repeated it. And along with the rest of the beat, so the organ and the bass, for example, it forms the actual main hook for the track. So let's actually get into the bass line to begin with. So we have this bass line here. And that is the pattern. It's repeated over and over again throughout the track. It doesn't change. And I've used my bass line that I always use in a lot of these videos, simple fat bass made in Serum 2 from the Messiah pack. And it's got the envelope relatively open. So you have some of the frequencies up here coming through. I've put it through some saturation to fatten it up a bit. But this bass is really good for just having a lot of utility. If I close down the filter a bit more, that sounds good as well. But I think in the actual track itself, I do actually have a separated stem here. You can hear the harmonics there coming through on that one. And it does have a bit of release on it as well. So it's a very simple pattern. It's in B minor. If I put the scale on here, B minor, you can see it's playing the B, the C, and a G, and an A. And this is then layered with an organ sound. By the way, if you want to get access to a full analysis document of this track using my drop framework, you can click the link in the description below and download it from the free vault. Let's get back into the video. So this is an organ stab. I've just sampled it. You could obviously use a VST with an organ preset and actually just play in the notes. So the notes would be a B minor chord and an E minor chord. I actually done harmony to MIDI here. This is just a B minor chord and an E minor chord. I'll play that now. Sounds way more complicated. Let's not play that. Sometimes the harmony to MIDI doesn't do it properly. It's just basically a B minor chord and an E minor chord played over this bass riff. So that is very, very simple. And this is a key thing in this track, is that the actual instrumentation, the hook, the groove are very, very simple. I think the main thing that actually carries this track is just the sound selection, the arrangement, and the actual choice of vocal. This is quite an obscure vocal. I didn't even know this track existed. So they obviously dug through lots of different records and found a vocal that is really cool, got clearance and made a track around it. If we continue looking at the remake here, So I've used drum clone. Drum clone is used to basically resynthesize kicks from any track you put in. So I've put in the actual track here, and we have done a resynthesis of it. If we look at the kick drum, so this is the resynthesized kick drum. I've increased the sub there because you can only hear, I think it's hitting there. It's not a tuned kick, it's more of a tonal kick. We listen to the actual real track. I don't think there's a fundamental from the kick in that one either. So I think maybe drum clone actually did do a good job there. Could just leave it as it is, and we could also boost up some of the bass frequencies as well. But drum clone is really good. I recommend it. It's free and does a really good job at actually creating professional sounding kick drums. So the actual groove itself is very simple. So we've got this kick and hi-hat pattern. At various points, you have like a double kick pattern coming in here. And what you do with this is you layer the hat. So here, here, and here, which is where the drum, the double kick is. You emphasize that with the hat. So if I just play these two, you listen there, it's called rhythmic layering. I call it rhythmic layering. It's where you layer up different elements of the track to emphasize the point. So say, for example, I did it here. I done a double kick here. I could emphasize that with this. Let's just do that. So like there, the double kick is emphasized by that. That probably wasn't the best example, but you can hear it really well here. Also with the actual bass and organ, you can see the rhythmic layering again. So look at where the location of the notes are. It's lined up exactly. So that effect sounds very intentional. It almost sounds like the organ and the bass are one instrument, but the actual hook itself, the riff, is strengthened and reinforced by rhythmic layering. And so this is something you should do in your own tracks. A very, very simple pattern can then become very powerful because all of the sounds are reinforcing that one idea. So going back to the drums, we have a nice big clap here. I've layered it with this DS clap. I use DS clap all the time. If you actually listen to the drum stems, this is quite a big wide clap as well. That's obviously not exactly the same, but it sounds good. The recreation sounds good. In terms of the actual micro groove, if we listen to the stems for the actual real track, if you listen very carefully, you can hear a top loop or a percussion loop in the background, giving it a micro groove. I've done a little bit of that here with this. And I've swung it off grid here with the delay. So you want to have a strong foundational groove with the kick, the hats, and the claps, not too far off the grid most of the time. Although the double kick is actually off the grid. Like this bit. But you want to have like micro grooves with top loops and percussion loops. So altogether the groove sounds like this. They obviously didn't use that exact loop. They used something else. And they may have just programmed it in with like a rim sound or something. But that is the actual main body of the remake. That's most of the instrumentation. That's the main pattern. So from here, let's actually look at the arrangement. And the way they keep the arrangement interesting is they have different parts of the vocal playing. So for example, in the break, actually before we do that, let's look at the macro structure. This is a very common structure. We have an intro, a break where the bass comes out, a verse where the bass and the riffs are introduced, a breakdown where there's a new idea, new chords, new harmony, and a drop. And I recommend you to follow this structure in most of your tracks. It's one of the best ways of telling the story of the track and having one or two ideas, one or two key ideas, and using them across the whole duration of a track. It's a very, very powerful formula to use. So let's just quickly flick through it. We've got the intro. You can actually hear the micro grooves there better. So the groove is introduced. The bass, the actual kit, the low end comes in here. Then there's a break, and then the bass line comes in. So the bass comes in, then the organs come in. Then the organ comes out and the vocal comes in. So the reason they do that is because if you had the organ playing at the same time, it can get too cluttered, and that's because the mid-range is very expensive in terms of the way you perceive the sound. So I'm playing my organ over the top of their version. You could do that, but they've chosen to remove it because it's an intelligent choice. It allows the vocal to shine in that part of the track. So that's a very good decision from them. And they're just playing more of the vocal to give variation to the track. So instead of this repeating mantra here, they just have more words speaking. When I'm in your arms, oh, how I love you. Feel about your love. So yeah, they're just using different parts of the a cappella throughout the track. The underlying groove and the underlying instruments are not changing at all. It's usually just this over and over again. Yeah, so you have a break, you take out most of the instruments, you tease them. The bass line is teased. Oh, how I love you. Bring in a string, a high string. The claps come in. Little snare roll. So it's very common techniques there. When they actually bring the bass line in, they use a technique that I'll show you now. So if I just play this. If I just solo out the bass. So the way they're doing that is they're basically using a filter and they're sweeping it like this. So it comes in from the top and then sweeps down. That's interesting. A lot of the time, the bass line is introduced with a volume automation or something, or just comes straight in, or it's either playing exactly like that in the filter version, then sweeps straight down. They've actually done a filter sweep, which is quite interesting. In the breakdown, they actually introduce a new idea. So they're using the organ to play a different chord progression. I don't know what the chord progression is, but it sounds good. They only have then 2 ideas. So this is one of the core ideas here, the one that I've been playing you. And then they have another idea with a different organ progression. They bring the strings in. They use it as a kind of like a secondary idea in the breakdown. I really recommend you do this. Experiment with harmonies in the breakdown. If you're doing all the harmonies and stuff in the verse and the drop, it can get a bit confusing. Save that creativity for the breakdown a lot of the time. Just before the drop, they've taken out the low end here. So yeah, then it just goes back to the main idea that we've been discussing. That's basically it. So it's actually a very simple track. The reason why this track is so popular is because the hook is very clear. It's supported by really strong grooves and really strong riffs. These riffs, the bass riff and the organ riff, they've used a lot of rhythmic layering. The arrangement is very solid. It's using this typical intro, break, verse, breakdown, drop structure, which is used all over house music. The ideas are introduced cleverly. There's no over-the-top production tricks. It's just a really solid arrangement. It's carried by the vocal, and then the track just works. So this is proof that you don't need to do crazy mixing tricks. You don't need to do crazy production tricks. you can write a really good track with just a strong vocal hook and some good riff supporting it. The drums are not complicated at all. Like, that's not the genius of the track. The genius of the track is in selecting the hooks and the sound selection. So hopefully you found this useful. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. I have a lot more videos breaking down popular tracks on the way. More production lessons, everything to do with music production. If you want to improve, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.